All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Miss Bevins from Bryant University taking time out to kind of share a little bit about the school. So if you can start with just telling us a bit about yourself and Bryant University, that would be a great start.
Yeah. So again, my name is Mary Rose Bevins. I am the admissions counselor for actually your area. So I'll be the one reading your application. Yeah, I am the assistant director of admission at Bryant. So I am currently on the road. I'm currently in New Jersey right now, just recruiting, meeting students at different high schools and talking about Bryant. So Bryant, for those who are unfamiliar, is located in Smithfield, Rhode Island. So probably about 3 hours from here on a good day if you don't hit traffic. We're about 20 minutes north of Providence and then about an hour from Boston. So we're right in the good middle of two great cities. And then within not Boston, Providence, there is an Amtrak. So students do often take the train down to New York City from Providence. And it's about a 2-hour train. And then they go on from there for wherever they would like to go. We have about 3,000 undergraduate students. So we're considered a medium-sized school. So if you're looking for enough to know a few people, but still meet new people as well, this Bryant has a really good size for that. We offer plethora of different majors from business to College of Arts and Science and health and behavioral science. We have 25 Division I athletic teams, as well as club and intramurals, and over 105 student organizations and clubs on campus. So that is just a quick summary of Bryant, but I'm sure we'll get more into it as we ask more questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about obviously the location and a little bit more with the campus. What's your favorite part of Bryant University's campus?
My favorite part is actually the location and the campus itself. It's on 423 acres of land, and it's just absolutely beautiful. We're right inside of New England, so right now the foliage is beautiful. So the campus itself is just gorgeous in the location. If you're looking for a campus that's all together in one place with a plenty of green and trees, that is definitely a place for you. And then I would definitely say the campus culture. There's a lot that students are excited for, and there's a lot that students can get involved with, from athletics to organizations to academics. So there is a really great sense of community and excitement on the campus that flows throughout the day.
Nice. You had mentioned obviously that you have D1 sports, so the sporting event's a big part of campus culture.
Yeah, I would say that football is really a big thing. We just changed conferences to the Big South, even though we're nowhere near the South, but we're really excited. We do a lot of events leading up to the football game. So the day of, we'll often do a lot of tailgating events for students where they'll have a lot of different food trucks. Organizations will have tents where they'll have food for the students. And a lot of alumni, as well as those who are living in the surrounding areas, will often come on campus as well. So it's a really great event and a day to be a Bryant Bulldog.
Nice. What are some fun traditions that you guys have at Bryant University?
I would say one of the most prominent ones is we were originally located in Providence, Rhode Island, until we were donated the land that we're on today. And one of the only pieces of that original campus that we have is an archway. You could probably see it in a lot of pictures. And so we moved that with us to our Smithfield, Rhode Island location. And there is a tradition where you can't walk through the archway until you graduate. And if you do end up walking through it, you don't graduate. There's a saying that you won't graduate if you walk through it. So you'll see a lot of students running up to others who they think that looks like they're about to walk through it and push them out of the way. So during orientation and like the first week of classes, we'll bring the students around the archway, and then at graduation, so 4 years later, we'll walk them through the archway after they graduate. So to finalize, that they signify that they have graduated. So that's one of the many traditions that a lot of students do love, and one of the most important ones too.
That's so fun. That's such a cute like background story and whatnot. And I can definitely see, I think it's funny. Kids like pushing each other out of the way to make sure they don't
they care about each other, so they all want to see each other graduate.
That's great. So what are some of the top majors at Bryant?
Yeah, so we are really well known for business program. We have a lot of business programs for students, from accounting all the way down to marketing. Our really top programs in business is international business, accounting, marketing, and finance. But there are plenty of other options as well. And then we also have our College of Arts and Science, and then our new Behavioral Health and Science program or school, which we have a really great psychology program that a lot of students were interested in as well as our politics and law and communications. So there really is something in each college or school within Bryant that students can find an interest and find a way to get a major in. So, but really business is one of our top programs.
Yeah, when I think of Bryant University, I know that you guys have an exceptional, obviously, business program. So it's nice to hear about the other ones. Is the behavioral health program, did you say that's new?
Yes. So our School of Health and Behavioral Science is new. Our psychology program falls under there as well. We do have a biology major with 3 different concentrations, which we have a general, we have pre-health, and then we have environmental. So the pre-health track is specific for those who are interested in going into grad school for nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, physician assistant. We have then also a general health science program as well for those who are interested in learning more about all aspects of healthcare. And then we also have a new exercise and movement science, which a lot of students are interested in. Physical therapy, athletic training, will often pursue that major. So that's something new that we have at Bryant too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great to know, because obviously there are a lot of students who are interested in those different fields. So that's really cool that you have those available as well.
Mm-hmm.
We hear a lot about like sticker price versus the actual paid price.
Yeah.
Can you share just a little bit about tuition at Bryant and then typical financial aid packages?
Yeah, so we have our tuition fees and everything is just under $70,000, and it's very, very rare that you'll see a student pay that full price. We offer a considerable amount for financial aid as well as scholarships. So all a student has to do in order to be considered for a scholarship is simply apply to Bryant, and then we automatically look at every student that applies to consider them for a scholarship. And then after that, their families would have to fill out that FAFSA form. So financial aid would then consider looking into that. So you'll see around students, average cost would be $41,000 after financial aid and scholarships. But of course, that's not everybody. It's an average. So some students will have less. Some students might have a little bit more as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's like quite a decrease from obviously the initial sticker.
Right.
It's nice that there's obviously different factors considered, but that students are automatically looked at for different merit scholarships, which is great. What type of student do you typically accept? I know that might be a hard question to answer, but just like what kind of student are you looking for in general? And then in regards to like looking at for GPA and those aspects as well, like what's the average?
So our average GPA is a 3.5, and we're also test optional. So we've been test optional for over 10 years. We do a very holistic approach where we look at the person as a whole of what they, how they progress throughout their 4 years in high school, as well as what they have balanced while while taking classes and doing stuff outside. So we really like to look at somebody who, challenged themselves in their high school years, maybe took an AP course or an honors course in high school, while balancing a job outside of school or doing clubs and organizations, volunteer work. So numbers are important, but they're not as important as you as a human, what you involved with, because we really want to see you excel in the Bryant community by taking advantage of all the resources that we do have on campus and getting yourself involved academically, socially. So we like to see a student who is engaging in their academics, and then those who are also engaging in in school activities, jobs, and so on. So it's not just clear cut, like we want the perfect number, the perfect GPA, the perfect SATs. Again, we're test optional, so whether they send them in or not, it won't hinder their acceptance as well.
Okay, great. And obviously you had mentioned you've been test optional for 10 years, right? So, whereas some schools obviously are just like kind of transitioning to that platform. So with that, for scholarships, you're considered whether or not you submit a test score.
Yes. Yeah. So we look at everything. If someone sends in their test scores if we look at someone who sends in their test scores versus someone who didn't, we look at them as if they did. Like we look at them the same exact way. So there's really no hard, it's really a personal choice if they want to send in their SAT scores or not. If it shows their academic abilities, shows off their academic abilities with their test scores, then you could send them in. If you don't think it does, you don't have to send them in.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. We're an IB World School. Yes. I'm sure you are aware. So we offer both the IB diploma program and as well as the IB career programs. How does IB affect a student's admissions candidacy? Do IB students have an advantage at all over other applicants?
Yeah, so we do accept those courses or their credits. I believe they have to get a 5 on the test that they'll take in order for them to get the credit to transfer to college. But it's neither an advantage nor a disadvantage if you take those courses. So of course, we're going to look at them and take it into consideration, of course, if you did take them. But if you didn't, there's no specific advantage that you would have over any other student. Maybe slight different advantage. Depending on when you do apply, since essentially when we look at applicants, we're comparing them to other students and how well they'll excel in our community. But I wouldn't say that there's a huge disadvantage if, say, a student did really well in their 4 years, but didn't do one of those courses and they still applied.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that and adding in as far as accepting credits, because I know that obviously students who are taking those classes, that's good for them to be aware of if they take the test and depending on their score, have that opportunity at Bryant.
Yeah.
Looking at the college essay, how important is that piece in the application process?
I would say it's pretty important because it's really showcasing who you are as a person, what you've been through your 4 years, what your story is, and it really helps us paint the picture of who you are and how well you can work in the Bryant community. So I think that's one of the most important parts of our application process is to really do well on that essay, because it really allows you to show the counselors who you are, what you've learned and what you're capable of doing outside of academic setting and what you want to do in college. So I always tell students to really focus on the essay, and then everything else will follow.
Yeah, I feel like the college essay is sometimes students can be a little intimidating, right?
Correct. Yes.
You feel like you need to have something super profound. So
Mhm.
try to share kind of like along the lines of what you said. It's just really showcasing who you are, your personality, outside of just like, because the rest of the application is really just like details, right?
Right.
So this allows
Mhm.
you to get a better idea. So it's nice that you do look at that, as a big piece, kind of
Yes.
understanding who the student is. So that's great.
Yeah, and I always encourage students to say there's a year that you might not have done as well that you would have wanted. That's a great way that's the essay is a great way to explain that, or describe or talk about your passion that you have, or some hardships that you've gone through in high school, that helped, and the ways that it helped you get through.
Great.
Yeah.
Then looking at another piece of the application, activities, and you kind of touched on this as far as looking at students really holistically. How important are activities in the application process?
I mean, I would say it's it's kind of the same as IP courses credits, or IB, sorry. um, it's great to see those get involved because outside of the academic setting, because it is such an important aspect when you do go into college. But again, whether you are a president of a student organization in high school, or you've done theater all 4 years, um, or not, you could be very well engaged in your academics, like you've done study groups, or you've taken 4 years of band, and then you have done concerts outside of the high school time. It's really not a do or die if you definitely say didn't do absolutely any student organizations, but you've been involved in, say, band, or you did study groups, or you were heavily focused on your academics. Something that just showcases that you have engaged yourself further than sitting in a classroom learning and kind of going by the routine. So I would say it's important, but it's not a dire situation. Of course, we want those who are engaged in our organizations after doing volunteer or work, but those who might not have been able to do that based off of their setting that they're involved in, whether it's a family situation or a personal situation, where we don't judge.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, the last few years, some activities have looked different, right, too, as far as like community service and whatnot. But in general, like you said, everyone kind of has different circumstances and interests and whatnot. So it's good that you kind of take a look at everything. Can you tell us a little bit about like your career services and your assistance with like job placements and internships, if you have any supports for that?
Yeah, so we have a great Amica Career Center on campus. We have faculty and staff members that work with our students as well as alumni to help them get internships. And we have a lot of different companies all within close proximity of our campus, like Fidelity Investments, Amica. We even have a Bank of America branch, a Navigant branch, an Amazon, and a CVS facility, all within a short mile radius of our campus. So a lot of those companies, plus others, do come on campus and work with our students one-on-one or in small group settings to work towards getting an internship, working on their resume, their cover letter, and doing practice interviews. So we have that as an option. And then we also have career advisors that will sit with students to help them kind of figure out, okay, where do I want to work, or where do I want to intern? And then also their academic advisors will help them kind of gear them towards where they kind of want to be at the end of their 4 years in regards to their academics, or if that major is the right fit for them, or if they want to change, they can as well. So we do have a lot of resources for students to excel. And oftentimes students who end up doing internships, they'll often get full-time job offers by so when they graduate high school, they'll have one ready for them. So internships aren't required for students to graduate at Bryant, but they're very highly encouraged and recommended. Students will often do them all throughout their 4 years. And then during their junior and senior years when they'll get that academic credit for it. We also have a fellowship program for interns at Bryant. So if they want to do an internship out of state that's away from where they live, they can apply for that fellowship and to Bryant, and Bryant will help pay for their housing wherever they are doing that internship. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, you want to spend your 4 years at a place that you're, excited about, but it's also nice that you have so much support in, helping students ensure that they have a placement and a plan, if not a job, grad school, et cetera, for after their time at Bryant. So that's great. Last question. If you had one piece of advice to give to our students about the college search or the application process, what would that be?
I have always said this even from when I was an undergrad working in admissions. So I was a student ambassador at my alma mater, and now I'm working in admissions in a different level. I always tell students and their families, mostly the students who's looking, that you need to envision yourself being there for the 4 years. It's about seeing yourself in this place, in this community for 4 years, and calling it your home. And if you can step on a campus and feel that and know that you can excel and do well there, then you need to follow that gut instinct and feeling, versus going on a campus and not really feeling like you can see yourself being here, but thinking that you should go here because your parents said this, your friends are going here, or they only have one thing out of the 5 things that I want in a college campus. It's really important to find your specific community that is the perfect fit for you, other than and not a perfect fit for who tells you that it should be. So really follow your gut instinct and the right path that's right for you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Sometimes it's always hard to kind of get rid of the noise, right? And there's a lot of opinions, and it can be kind of a heavy, process to go into and kind of deciding where do you want to go and what do you want to do. So that's important, I think, making sure that doing what's best for them, right?
And of course, there's obviously financial boundary. There's financial reasons, academic reasons that it might not be right, but there will always be a school that's the right fit for you. And so if they have to go to 2 years for a community college or to a different school first, you might end up loving it, and regardless. So
great. Well, thank you so much for your time and all this information about Bryant. There's a lot of really exciting, obviously, things happening, and a lot of cool opportunities. And I really appreciate your time and sharing that with our students. And I'm sure we'll see you soon at one of our college fairs here. Good luck on the road, and thank you again. I really appreciate your time.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.